upcoming. So the only thing we couldn't do is get
You didn't recognize the camera.
the camera, so start video.
Okay.
This is connected to my desktop, and I don't think my desktop has a camera on it.
Oh, so you're remoted into your
Mhm.
desktop?
Yeah, that was the only way I knew how to do it.
Ah,
So, but are we live and you can hear us?
Thank you.
all right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, despite the lateness of the day, this meeting is the order without video. My apologies to anybody who wanted to watch this august group online. We will start by approving the minutes of the previous meeting, which we've had ample time to read. Okay. All right, and the next item of business is salary adjustments for 2023. Jennifer?
So you have a packet in front of you, which is an employee compensation budget request. This goes in line with the raises that were given to all full-time employees in 2020, or at the beginning of 2023.
They were approved.
That
in
were
December.
approved in December. What we've done is I've worked with the HR director to set up, because currently all of our staff is part-time, which means that we don't have any type of grading system. We're not automatically included in pay raises.
We haven't been.
Or we have not been. Going forward, the goal is to treat our part-time people with these graded positions the same way that full-time graded positions are treated in the county, so that any COLA raises or adjustments to the grades would also apply to us. And we wouldn't have to come back to the quorum court in the middle of a year and ask for raises because we weren't automatically included. So this is a good plan for us going forward. It also sets us up to be able to hire staff whenever we need to. Currently, every one of us has been a poll worker. That's how we all started. And we came in at various degrees, usually just like $11.30 an hour or $12.30 an hour. This actually sets up a plan for us based on the positions, where to start those positions at, rather than just taking their $12.30 an hour and trying to adjust it, or even leaving it as is and waiting for some type of COLA raise. So that's what this does. In regards to that as well, basically I've created job descriptions, which we didn't have for all of our positions. And so it creates grades 1 through 5. You have a spreadsheet that shows you the different grades and the different types of the people basically who have those positions. And then it shows you what they will be adjusted to in the blue, that percentage change, and then the dollar amount, because I had to figure out a request.
We didn't get.
It's like a light,
Yeah.
it's like a light blue.
Okay.
Okay, so with this grade, poll workers will be a grade 1, and my request would be that poll workers be paid $14 an hour and supervisors $16 an hour. That's not reflected in this, in the sense that they don't work in the office, so I had to figure theirs out differently.
Mhm.
But that would be our starting pay for poll workers and supervisors. And then our other 2 graded positions, which are ones, then that would change their dollar amount and the percentages. And it goes all the way down to the programmer at the very bottom, which is the grade 4 position. And then my position would be the grade the grade 5.
Right.
So when I went about trying to figure out positions, and the dollar amounts, I looked at the midpoint on the grades to mirror what the county did in regards to adjusting everyone to that new graded midpoint. So if you'll see that, that's a reflection of that. A few of them go just a touch above. So for instance, the graded 4 position, the programmer, that's a touch above the mid, and that's simply reflective of the work that position requires and the length and the quality of the person that's in that position. And so all of those I've kind of adjusted to those. When I sat down to do this, as well as I was looking at the midpoints, I also have requested an adjustment for my salary as well. A little bit more than the 4% that the commissioners had talked about, because my dollar amount previously, if you look at grade 5, which is what I am, was between the minimum and the first quartile. And everybody else I had moved to the mid. So this was difficult to do for myself because
No, do it. You have to advocate for yourself.
So
I think we all.
that was very difficult when I sit down, but when I looked at it just in black and white as numbers on a spreadsheet and taking
Which is what you should have
myself
done.
out of it, I moved my mine to the first quartile and not the mid. I didn't feel like that was appropriate. But the first quartile. And so I have adjusted my salary to that position or to that number.
They just pick the midpoint with what they did. Is that, I mean, what's the difference? Again, why did we go a little bit above the midpoint on some of the positions 1 through 4? Explain that to me again. You said it in reference to things that they do or things.
So one was length of service, to the amount of time that they have been with the county. And so that would be reflective in the one that's 17 and a half. Under the graded position 1.
Okay.
The other one, certainly I can adjust these a little bit if I need to.
I just want to understand. I'm not questioning.
Yeah. No, it had to do with length of service. And then also the other thing I was looking at as well, and this is what the HR had done when they presented the numbers. They had looked at other counties. What did the other counties pay? So for instance, the grade 4 position, if you look under Pulaski County, that position, which is the assistant election coordinator, that's essentially what that grade 4 position is for me. Not only is that the programmer, but that is my true assistant.
Yeah.
And if you'll see that dollar amount is the $31. And so I bumped it up to be a little bit more equivalent to what we saw being paid in Pulaski County,
Okay.
along with the length of service as well.
Now, just this packet.
I did. I met with the judge to discuss this package along with HR, who I've worked really closely with to try and come.
Everybody's buying in. To the,
Yes. And this will be presented to the JSEP committee meeting next Monday at 3:30.
Okay.
And with their approval, then we'll go to the finance and personnel meeting on May 1st.
Yeah, how this compared with the raises that we gave, is it close?
Oh, that's a
Is
good-
it-
So, yes, so the commission had kind of talked about a flat 20%.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And if you'll notice, I've shown the changes in here.
Yeah.
Some are just a touch under, but they're keeping with the graded position and the midpoint. So I felt like those dollar amounts, because when I started trying to do the 20% and then adjust and keep with the mid, it started getting out of line. And so I tried to honor what the commission had requested, but also build this plan to go forward, like looking
Yeah, this
forward.
Fit within this
The graded
Yes.
system that we've
Yeah.
never had.
major things we want to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Under the graded system, I think you said this a minute ago, but supposedly when the county is looking at pay raises for these part-time employees will be included.
Yeah, that, which is great, because we've always had this meal kind of
Right,
match it.
right.
So that's
And
really
Betty,
positive.
go with our income.
Yeah.
Can we?
In the future, as the COLA raises come in, then what happens is that the COLA raise is tied to the employee, but it's also tied to the graded position. So the graded positions move with the COLA raises too, or any type of adjustment. So we will always be now in line with our positions and with being able to actually provide consistent raises for our employees. I think is very important going forward.
Now, what y'all agreed on is with the back pay, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
So you'll see that there is a budget request, which is this one.
Oh, okay.
You'll see there's a,
With that,
Yeah.
yes. So you'll see that there's a budget adjustment that we will be requesting. The dollar amount is $76,845. That it does include back pay till January the 1st for our employees. It also would include the $14 and $16 raise for our poll workers for this May 9th
All right.
election as well. And if you see, I've got the poll worker cost estimate reimbursement here, the $52,000 that's on there. If I fully bill back that, if we spend all of that, our actual cost to the general budget will actually only end up being $24,765.
If you're able to,
Right, which I will be, poll worker costs may come in a little under this, and obviously we're not going to spend it if we didn't, use it. So I tried to balance that in there as well.
Are you pleased with all of this?
I am. I think that this is fair. I think that definitely going and doing the back pay it is fair to our employees. And I think that, percentage wise, the dollar amounts, I do think are fair for our employees.
And it comports with what the election commission had already approved, which to me, that was significant. The potential of raising their, that's what the state pays, right?
Right.
Oh, I mean, per poll worker.
Right. So currently the state for the primary and the primary runoff only reimburses to the minimum wage. So whatever the minimum wage says right now, it's $11.
Okay.
Then the county would be responsible for the remainder of that fund.
Gotcha.
However, they write the rules for reimbursements for the primary and the primary runoff this year is when they'll write the rules. And that's when they set the dollar amount that they will allow for reimbursements. I think that we need to, at our regional meeting, when we have the state board, but also reach out to the state board members as well to request that they actually fund more than $11 an hour. Almost every county across the state pays more than $11 an hour. Maybe some of the smaller counties are paying their poll workers higher than that $11 an hour.
Mhm.
And there was also legislation passed that gave the commissioners a raise as well that were going to affect in July. That's included in this as well. But it also set the pay for election commissioners working an election at $15 an hour, which would mean that the state would
Oh,
reimburse the
For a lot of those
$15.
counties that they have
That
everything.
commissioners do that, so I think that is a reasonable request, and I think one, we definitely should make. That they, either reimburse us up to the 14 or something a lot closer than what they have been.
Is that soon enough to do it by July?
They
Because
will
they're-
not start writing the rules
Oh, they won't.
until
Okay.
here in just a little bit. They will, what the first thing they'll do is they'll have to go through all of the new legislation that's passed. Because another thing they're going to have to rewrite rules on. Right now, they will only pay me mileage for one supervisor to
right,
bring back
right.
supplies. Well, requiring 2 people. So they're gonna have to pay mileage for both of those people and time for both of those people. So they're going, when they're in the middle of writing those rules, that's when we definitely want to go ahead, and we can go ahead and email them and say, listen, we would like the rule change to reflect an increase in what you're allowed to reimburse for poll workers and supervisors. They've added more work for our supervisors this year than ever before.
Yeah.
And to just reimburse at the minimum wage, I think is, again, not appropriate. So.
Right.
They put on letterhead on their behalf.
I
that just
think so, too.
outlines.
Yeah.
Each of these. It might be on the radar, but it might not be.
Well, we want to make sure it stays on the radar.
Exactly. Yeah, if it's not, it needs to be. Here.
Yeah.
And it. Let them know how it affects us.
Yeah. And then just follow up periodically.
Yeah,
Maybe that will help them keep it in the front of their minds.
yeah.
And I know the other counties will fall in line with this too.
Good.
Benton County pays their poll workers more than minimum wage. There are a lot of counties that I think we can get on board with this, and if enough counties, are saying, hey, can you include this?
Yeah. Well, and part of it, if the state is going to pass new legislation, that's going to increase the number of employees and.
Exactly.
Share of
Well,
it,
yeah,
not
yeah.
just shift word to the counties, right?
Yeah, let's go
Yeah.
ahead and do a letter, we'll sign a letter
Okay.
and get that off. Okay, any other questions, y'all?
No, I think so. I mean, if the commission if this looks good for the commission too, I mean, I feel like we've done a lot of work in building this. I've worked
Clearly,
closely with Patty in doing this to make sure that what we presented works with the county, not just something so that it's, this is other new thing
Right.
that actually functions with the county, because our pay grades match the way the county's pay grades are built, which means that they'll move in the same way that the full-time ones will as
And
well.
Patty is
The HR
Yeah,
director.
I think we should thank Patty.
Yes,
She
for
give her
sure.
our thanks.
For sure. He has been very helpful in helping me get all of this together.
Yeah, I agree. Thank her and thank you for doing it. It's clearly.
In the middle of an election. What else on that, Jennifer?
Not on that, JSEP meets Monday at 3:30.
Do we need to make any motion on these are county things. So I don't feel like we need to approve these. We've already approved by so forth. So I don't feel like we need to
dollar amount, because the dollar amount is different too for the total request that we're making.
right.
But yes.
Okay, well,
Do we need to show up in the energy committee or?
For the JSEP meeting, I don't think so. Patty will be, I will present and Patty will present with me. So I think we're okay on that. And that's the elected officials. And I think JP Ecke is the other person there. So I think we're good on that. And on the, how that goes, it's May 1st, it's the meeting that this would be heard at.
Okay, now, is there gonna be, do we need?
Basically, what happens is I presented a cover letter with our request.
Right.
The judge will include his signature on this cover letter as well, and we'll put forth the ordinance.
Okay, so that's all taken care of then?
Yes.
Okay, super. All right. We'll know May 2nd whether this has been approved by.
Yeah, and I'll let you know how the JSEP meeting went. And
Good.
And then if we think that the full commission needs to come
Yeah.
on May
I would like to
1st.
be there.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
Oh.
yeah. So, but yes,
okay.
and
Yeah,
Patty
just keep
says, Patty is gonna make herself available as well to
Okay.
present
Okay.
with me as well,
Sure.
so.
We hear from you beforehand.
Are we meeting or at the second?
No, May 9th,
at the-
that's just or when early
Oh,
vote starts.
I'm not even reading it. Sorry, I had a migraine.
She just
last
reading
night. I'm
the
Still.
date.
On May 9th, we currently 17 absentee ballots have gone out, 10 have returned. So I think the commission probably would be safe to meet at 7 o'clock
Sure.
rather than 6:30.
I agree that,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like we can.
Okay,
Yeah, we
so
can do that.
on the 9th at 7 o'clock in the quorum court.
Okay.
7
PM.
PM. Mhm.
Okay, is the
We'll be here.
Is the courthouse even open at that? Okay.
We'll be in
Yeah,
our
you'll
office
be
at
there.
7 a.m. So
All right,
yes.
well, we've got these other dates, just, keep them on the agenda. Other business, oh yeah, here's some other business.
That's the other business. We talked about the voters in Washington County who are in the Silent Springs School District who will not be eligible to vote in Washington County for this election, but would be eligible to vote in Benton County if they wanted to. However, there's no change in the millage and their zone is not up for election this year.
Mhm.
So the commission had talked about sending out postcards to those voters. This would be what the postcard would look like if you want us to go ahead and do that, and we can have that prepared. And if there's any edits you need to make to it, please feel free. I just went ahead and set them up today
Mhm.
so you could see what it would look like. And
They call that number, who they calling?
Becky.
Hey,
Well,
how did I get this? What is this? mean?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm looking at it and I don't know what it means. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it.
You know what I'm saying?
My concern is, that-
Please, I mean, seeing it, I'm worried about the same thing.
Yep, and we
Just to get
could
it out of
just-
the blue, I don't know what this means,
We-
you know?
do it, but we had talked about
we
doing
did.
it,
right, we did.
In fact, it was a good idea.
but it may not be.
EMI,
Exactly.
if you say, if you were to do something, you just send it and say, if you want to vote in the school election, or what is it they'd be voted on, the millage?
It's,
Which
That's
is
not
not
gonna
changed
change
this
no
time.
matter what.
If you
I wonder,
Vote at.
Yeah.
Or do,
It's not to send this.
so that.
Because it just,
I'm good with that.
to me, just reading it, I was confused, and I think I talked about sending it.
What are they trying to do now?
What will happen is if they do show up to vote in Washington County, we will send on, But you
Yeah.
are, but I can
But
give
what-
it for poll workers at the polls to say, if you wanted to go to Benton County, you can,
Yeah,
but you're not, but there's no change in the
There's not-
millage and there's no candidates, and then they'll be better off staying home. I
There's
agree
nothing
with
to
you.
vote on.
When we sit down to write it out, I was like, in theory, that sounded like a great
Yeah,
idea.
in theory it
But
did.
I actually think it will be more confusing to the voters.
If we wanted to send something to the current school millage of 44.9 mils and just leave, I mean, not the rest of it, but I don't
Yeah,
even.
but
think
I don't
that's
even
necessary.
think to vote on the millage.
Yeah,
So then
right.
you're telling them to not
True,
go, but you know,
true.
it was kind of like a fine,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
how do you tell someone, well, you have the right to vote, but you really don't need to vote in this election. So that's the whole, like, that school millage just needs to
Yeah.
constitutionally
Right,
change. And
right.
this is why.
Yeah, there's no good way of wording it.
Yeah, I think we just, ignore it. It was a good
Okay.
effort.
Yeah, good
Thank
effort.
you.
We'll make,
But it,
our poll workers are aware of these voters who might, there's 600 of them, who might come in to vote and they'll have something, you know, to be
Will
able
they
to
be
tell them.
identifiable by the poll worker?
Will not be in the poll book at all.
oh, that's
So
right.
when they go
Wow.
to look them up, they're not in the poll books at all. So they'll call the clerk and the clerk will say they're in the Siloam Springs School
We
District.
have a list of 600 for the poll workers to look at.
No, the easiest way is for them to call the clerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that way the clerk then will say, no, if they're in the Siloam Springs School District, there won't even be a polling location open in their
Oh, that's
area.
right.
Like they vote in Cincinnati and Weddington. Open in that area, so they may not be aware that there is a school election
Hmm.
at all, so yeah. So,
Clarified it in
Yeah.
a visible
well,
fashion.
it always
Yeah.
helps, I think, when you actually
Yeah,
look at it
absolutely.
to see,
Yeah.
so, okay.
Cool deal.
Evelyn, you won't have to do that
Good
on
work.
Monday.
I won't have to do that on Monday, one less thing, as we get ready for some more training.
What other business, y'all? We didn't have it. The legislative changes. I mean, I don't know.
What are we,
We were talking, Jennifer was gonna present to us all these legislative changes, and then we had some stuff about polling places.
Right,
So, I brought my data. We might talk about it, so, to talk about that right now.
well, what I presented you with is just simply the bills that passed, is to sit down and go through bill by bill
Right.
and actually work out what does this mean? How does this impact us? Some of the legislative changes don't impact us at all, like campaign finance and
Right.
all of that. We, you know, we don't deal with any of that. But what is impacting voters, what is impacting election process, and what's impacting absentee? And
Mhm.
those are the types of things I'll work out and give to the election commission.
Okay.
And that would, yeah.
This is something we can.
most part, and we also didn't know at that time, we didn't have all of them. That
Right.
had either been signed or hadn't
Right.
been signed.
And we may still not have, right?
Government.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think during this whole legislative process, we were looking at these proposed bills, and we were making comments, even going so far as to do a resolution on certain ones that we didn't agree with. The rest of them, I think, we kind of know they're there, and we kind of know that the changes are there. So I think it behooves us maybe to do what you said and just narrow the focus down to
Right.
where changes are
The changes.
necessary.
We have to be aware of.
And appreciate you guys. With that resolution on that particular one.
Did it fail?
It never
I'm gonna
got,
tell you what happened.
oh,
was in the Senate SAGA committee, State Agencies and Governmental Affairs Committee. They ran out of time to deal with it. And so when the committee wasn't in session, they went and found 5 committee members who would say that they would agree with it. And they somehow or another had some kind of a deal where they passed it out of the committee.
Were they, when they weren't even.
So they had 5.
And that,
Or with like, you know, majority or something, pull it out of committee, but I didn't.
They had
Yeah.
5 committee members.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went to the Senate floor. The session. 5 committee members, guess how many senators voted for it? Crashed and burned on the. Senate floor.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Good job, good job.
That's very interesting.
It failed was Senator Clark, who had originally been a supporter of the bill in 2021. Very strong support of the bill. This time, when Senator Hammer brought it forward and the bill allowed for a site to designate a space. He said on
Made
the
a statement
floor
on the Senate floor.
that they could
Well of the.
space on the back
Back
40 acres.
Senator Clark went ballistic.
Oh, he voted against it, which was such a surprise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that was, it was done.
Interesting.
Anyway, that is a bill that they've attempted to do for 2
Twice.
legislative sessions in a row. I hope that they won't try to slip it in the special session, you know.
but didn't this have support from the
It
SBEC?
did.
It did this go round.
Okay,
The last
wasn't
time,
last time?
the last time it did not, but this time it did.
Okay.
The SBC assigned Director Schultz to help marshal it through.
Right.
I had an hour conversation with him. And didn't really understand how the SBDC should be in that position and assign a director to do that, but they did, and that was his job. He said, "This is my job. I'm working on this." So I said, "Why don't you treat it like you're treating signage? Make it an option, whether the." So I said, "Make the," and I called it. He told me this: without the mandate, the bill doesn't exist. He said, "That's all I needed to hear."
Anyway,
Very interesting. Yeah.
that segment is over. We can go back to
I'm
relaxing.
sorry. I'm sorry. I just.
Oh, no, it's all interesting to hear. And I agree. Why is the SBEC pushing that bill?
Exactly. Something's weird
Some
about that.
candidates, some elected officials really wanted that to pass. They really wanted a space to be able to.
Right. And you know, that's the
hold
thing.
signs outside of polling centers.
How many? For some one person in the state who was hacked off because they felt like they were mistreated
Yeah.
in some way.
Exactly.
What's the lawyer's name that visited us that day from the SBDC?
Chris
Yeah,
Madison.
Chris. He
And-
basically said that. He came up. He
Right.
said that it's, you know, that so much legislation gets put on the agenda because somebody gets ticked off.
Because
Yeah.
your
One
ox was going.
situation in
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
city or one county in the
Well,
state.
remember how many things Brian? Because it happened in his county.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's all we need to say about that, I
Yeah, I'm
think.
sorry.
No, it's all good.
Any other business, comments?
Well, no, I came. I'd heard about the move to the road department, so I just kind of wanted to, I mean, I've only been to one other meeting, so I wanted to come and kind of see the logistics of the meeting and what it might look like if you're stuck way down there and how
Well, you
you
can
might
see,
work
we
with
may
it.
not
didn't
have,
work. So I debate whether I want to speak about it in front of the quorum court, but I mean, I've worked around big computer systems. Moving the IT department to a room that floods doesn't make sense to me. But I also have concerns, about just the, like I call it chain of custody, but how you're moving all this. It just to me seems like it's not as secure, but I mean, what do I know? I just heard about it and I'm like, you're what?
Yeah.
Putting IT in the emergency services building makes total sense because that's all high tech. But moving it all, right? I come
The
here.
reality is that you have to move twice anyway. And that say that anything that you're saying is not
Right.
true, but I was asking that question myself.
Right,
And
so,
we have to move out of the room, fix.
so, I don't know. To me, it seems like a logistical nightmare and I'm sure that you all can handle it. But it's like, what? This just seems like kind of crazy to me. But what do I know? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, I want to
Yes.
see what else is going on.
Thank you. Thanks for paying attention.
Yeah.
Well, I am going to bring it up because it's just kind of like out of the blue, and I'm like, what's the rush?
Well, of course, everything is the result of the flood.
Right.
What was it, Christmas night or
Christmas Eve night.
And-
Oh, I know, I lost the roof.
That was awful.
But I worry about
Yeah.
the road. Are we gonna have video down there? Or do we go down there to get mad? I don't know how that's gonna work.
Yeah, neither.
I haven't
really in a lot.
to the road department. I'm gonna ask the JPs. I'm like, how many of y'all been to the road department to see what kind of setup
Mhm.
we're talking about? I don't know.
Well, appreciate your comments and,
I don't want to cause a ruckus,
No.
but it's. Deacons may think I'm causing a ruckus, but anyway, I had some concerns.
Well, hey, it's any member of the public can
That's
bring
right.
up concerns
That's right.
and, all our meetings are public and all.
Oh, I know.
Public.
Public, I tried to watch.
Yeah.
Well, and I didn't watch I couldn't watch, I deliver food on that day, so I couldn't watch your meeting last week because the live stream wasn't coming through on my cell phone. So then I had to come back and say, no, what happened?
Is it not?
As you know, I didn't go back.
Yeah, I
and-
did.
Yeah, you might want to check it out.
Oh, I probably
Just
will, to hear
So,
what
Yes,
everybody said
right.
right before I opened my mouth and quote. Oh, you've always been very, very helpful to me. Consider